After studying this module, you shall be able to number 1, know the importance of psychological assessment in health and counseling psychology. Number 2, understand the career interest inventory. Number 3, know the important tests used in counseling psychology. And number 4, understand the dimensions of temperament scale and family environment scale. Health refers to a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of some diseases. It also includes emotional, moral, aesthetic, and spiritual components. Hence, the role of psychological counseling for promotion of better health, adjustment, and integration becomes imperative. Counseling psychology is a branch of psychology that is concerned with the prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of abnormal behavior. But its province tends to be the less severe behavior disorder and the everyday problem in living. Counseling psychology is a branch of psychology that is concerned with the prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of abnormal behavior. But its province tends to be the less severe behavior disorders and the everyday promotion problems in living, such as marital and family, communication problem, career decisions, and difficulty with school study habits. In this module, we shall focus on the importance of psychological testing in counseling, testing in career guidance with focus on career interest inventory, and testing in families counseling with focus on family environment scale and dimensions of temperament scale. We also enlist a few tests that may be used in counseling setting. Psychological tests in counseling. Psychological tests find useful application when dealing with life-threatening variables like stress, anxiety, and so on. These situations need a three-stage strategy of diagnosis, treatment, coping, termination, and follow-up, and become applicable for career counseling, family counseling, and so on. Assessment of health-related quality of life is an important consideration in this regard. The two approaches to quality of life assessment are the psychometric approach and the decision theory approach. The psychometric approach attempts to provide separate measures for the different dimensions of quality of life. Perhaps the best known example of psychometric approach is the sickness impact profile given by Bergner et al. In the year 1981. The decision theory approach attempts to weigh the different dimensions of quality of life in order to provide a single expression. To summarize, health psychology focuses on understanding the role of psychological variables in the onset, course, treatment, and prevention of illness, disease, and disability. Individual interviews, surveys, and paper and pencil tests are most frequently used tools of researchers in health psychology to assess the current state of affairs with respect to some disease or condition, gauge treatment process, and evaluate outcome of intervention. Counseling psychologist addresses issues of marital and family communication problems, career decisions, and difficulty with school study habits. Career interest inventory is focused to provide information concerning the interest in 15 different occupational areas and can be used in combination with differential aptitude test DAT if the measure of aptitude is required for guidance and counseling purpose. Dimensions of Temperament Scale DTS has been devised to measure the temperament of a problem of a person on 15 school selected dimensions. The Family Environment Scale has been developed to measure the environment of the family on relationship, personal growth, and system maintenance. In each of the mentioned areas, the need exists for reliable and valid tools to gauge change with regard to some psychological variable. Many tests useful in health psychology research may also be used in clinical and counseling context.
Psychological tests find tremendous application in the business setting, being a big business itself. Tests and other tools of assessment help in directing people to personally fulfilling careers while navigating them away from jobs and work environments in which they might burn out prematurely or be unsatisfied. These tests are used by employers prominently at two stages. First, in the pre employment phase, and second, in the form of various performance appraisal tools done after the employment. They provide welcome assistance in screening and selecting applicants. In this module, we survey the assessment tools used to accomplish various ends in business and other organizational contexts. Psychological tests in the business setting. The formal testing begins with an interview wherein information regarding the suitability of a candidate is assessed by the interviewer, in which the interviewer follows a standardized format of questions in set order. The information received by formal interviews is systematic and its validity is high. On the other hand, informal interviews are unsystematic in the sense that there are no predetermined questions or procedures, and the interviewer may ask the questions irrelevant to the job and may evaluate the candidate subjectively. Successful candidates can be assessed by using psychological tests for their personality traits, cognitive skills, ethical values, and social and interpersonal skills. Psychological tests and various rating scales are very useful instruments for the performance appraisal of the employees. Apart from this, psychological tests can be used for management development programs, leadership development training, and other areas of training and development. Myers Briggs Type Indicator. Myers Briggs Type Indicator is a personality inventory that is based on Carl Jung's theory of psychological type. The purpose of MBTI is to make the theory of psychological types as described by C.G. Jung understandable and useful in people's lives. The test consists of 93 items and is applicable to person aged 14 years and over. Based on Jung's theory, these 93 items measure four different bipolar continuums like extroversion introversion, sensing intuition, thinking feeling, and judging perceiving. Items of the tests are arranged in four parts, all of which have varying number of items. Part 1 asks which answer comes closest to describing how you usually feel or act, and has 26 items. The items are like: do you consider yourself to be more of spontaneous person or more of an organized person? So, items can be seen are of first choice type which have been standardized on a normative sample of 3009 US adults, generally representing the sex and ethnicity consistent with 1990 US Census, although white women were overrepresented and black men were underrepresented. The test has split half reliability of 0.90. The test retest reliability ranges from 0.83 to 0.97. Internal consistency ranges from 0.83 to 0.97, and internal consistency for males and females ranges from R 0.90 to R 0.93. Its validity is from moderate to high when correlated with five-factor model of personality as portrayed in the Neo-Pi-R. MBTI is a very popular test, and more than 3 million people are administered MBTI each year. It has been used to study areas like communication, conflict, leadership, change, customer relationship, and so on. The scores of subject ABC indicate that on the introversion-extraversion dimension, the subject has a leaning towards introversion. On the scale of sensing intuition, the score is higher for intuition. For feeling has a higher score than thinking, and for judging perceiving, ABC shows a higher score for perceiving. These results indicate that ABC has a combination of INFP. At their best, people with INFP preferences have an inner core of values that guides the interaction and decisions. They want to be involved in work that contributes to both their own growth and inner development and those of others, that is, to have a purpose beyond their paycheck. They make a priority of clarifying their values and living in congruence with them. An INFP combination indicates that ABC prefers to focus on his inner world of ideas and experiences. He directs his energy and attention inward and receives energy from reflecting on his thoughts, memories, and feelings. He is able to recognize and honor the emotional and psychological needs of others, even when others may not have recognized or expressed their own needs. As INFP, ABC primarily uses his feelings preference initially where he may need to make decisions. His decisions are primarily based on his values of self understanding, individuality, and growth. Living by moral commitments to what he believes in is crucial to a person with an INFP combination. He is likely to be sensitive, concerned and caring, and idealistic and loyal to his ideas. An INFP person enjoys reading, discussing, and reflecting on possibilities for positive change in the future. He is curious about ideas and quick to see connections and meanings. As an INFP, the subject is likely to be curious and creative and have long range vision. Another aspect of an INFP person is that he is usually fascinated by opportunities to explore the complexities of human personality, his own and others. He is capable of putting himself in other person's place and can be empathetic. He may tend to work in bursts of energy and is capable of great concentration and output when fully engaged in a project. A person with an INFP personality is generally faithful in fulfilling obligations related to people, work, or ideas to which he is committed, but can have difficulty performing routine work that has little meaning for him. How others may see them. INFP person find structures and rules confining and prefer to work autonomously. They are adaptable and flexible until something violates their inner values. Then they stop adapting. The resulting expression of value judgments can emerge with an intensity which is surprising to others. Individuals with INFP personality tend to be reserved and selective about sharing their most deeply held values and feelings. They value relationships based on depth, authenticity, true connections, and mutual growth. INFP person prizes most those who take time to understand their values and goals. Others usually see them as sensitive, introspective, and complex, original and individual, and sometimes difficult to understand. Potential areas for growth. Sometimes they may fail to take in information and may fail to notice the realities of situations. Then they may make decisions based solely on personal values and may find it difficult to translate their values into action. They may not take time for the inner valuing process by which they make their best decisions. Instead, they may go from one exciting possibility to another and achieve little. Have uncharacteristic difficulty expressing themselves verbally, withdraw from people and situations. Do not give enough information to others, especially about important values. Become easily discouraged about the contrast between their ideals and accomplishments. Report logical reasoning even in situations that require it, asserting the supremacy of their internal viewpoint. Be impractical and have difficulty estimating the resources required to reach a desired goal. Under great stress, the INFP person may begin seriously doubting their own competence and that of others, becoming overly critical and judgmental. Emotional quotient test. The EQ test measures the three psychological dimensions of emotional sensitivity, emotional maturity, and emotional competency. These dimensions are thought to motivate an individual to recognize truthfully, interpret honestly, and handle tactfully the dynamics of human behavior. The test has been standardized for professional managers, businessmen, bureaucrats, artists, and graduate student population. This EQ test has a test retest reliability of 0.94 and a split half reliability of 0.89. The test consists of 22 situational items with 4 alternatives for each item. Items 2, 8, 16, 17, and 22 measure emotional sensitivity. Items 4, 6, 9, 11, 12, 18, and 21 measure emotional maturity, and items 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, 13, 14, 15, 19, and 20 measure emotional competency. A sample of the item is as follows. At the workplace, due to some misunderstanding, your colleague stopped talking to you. You are convinced that there was no fault of yours. How will you react? Wait till they come and start talking to you again? Take the initiative, go forward and start talking to them? Let things take their own time to improve? Ask someone to mediate. Job Descriptive Index. Applicability. Employees at any level. Measures the principal features of satisfaction and its emphasis is on extrinsic satisfaction. Number of items 5 scales and a total of 72 items. Type of work pay, promotion, opportunities, supervision, co-workers. Reliability internal reliability 0.93. Spearman-Brown coefficients range from 0.80 to 0.88. Validity concurrent validity is 0.66 between total JDI score and measure of job attachment. Minnesota Satisfaction Questionnaire. Applicability business and industry. Measures satisfaction with a number of different aspects of the work environment and evaluates vocational rehabilitation outcome. Number of items long form consists of 100 items in Likert type response format. The short form contains 20 items. Reliability internal consistency coefficients computed for 27 organizational groups 0.80 or higher. Stability coefficients ranged from 0.66 to 0.91. Test retest correlations ranged from 0.35 to 0.71. Validity is construct validity. College and University Environment Scales, 2nd edition. Applicability college students. Measures the cultural, social, and intellectual climate of the campus. Original 5 scales are practicality, community, awareness, propriety, scholarship. 2 additional scales in this edition are campus morale and quality of teaching and faculty student relationship. Number of items 160 items, 20 items of practicality, community, awareness, propriety, and scholarship, respectively, 22 items on campus morale, and 11 items on quality of teaching and faculty student relationship. Reliability test retest reliability groups within a single institution showed that 80% differed by 3 points or less and 90% differed by 4 points or less. Validity is reported high. Organizational Commitment Questionnaire. Applicability: employees at any level. Measures: the organizational commitment, which is defined as the strength of an individual's identification with an involvement in a particular organization, is said to be characterized by three factors: a strong belief in and acceptance of the organization's goals and values, a readiness to exert considerate effort on behalf of the organization, and a strong desire to remain a member of the organization. Number of items: 15. Reliability ranges from 0.82 to 0.93. Internal reliability is 0.86. Validity: convergent validity comes from significant negative correlations with work-oriented interests using Dublin's measures of central life interests. Occupational Stress Index. Applicability: employees. Measures: degree of perceived stress arising from various aspects of the job of the employees. Number of items: 56 items, 28 are true keyed and 28 are false keyed. Reliability: split half 0.935, Cronbach's alpha 0.90. Validity: coefficients of correlation between the scores on the occupational stress index and the measures of job involvement, applicability strength, and employees' motivation were found to be 0.80, 0.40, and 0.44 respectively. Conflict Resolution Strategy Scale. Applicability: superior subordinate or other dyads. Measures: how conflicts are handled within named superior subordinate or other dyads. Following the work of Blake and Mouton, 5 strategies are identified for which there are 5 scales: confrontation, withdrawal, forcing, smoothing, and compromise. Number of items: 25. Reliability: test retest correlation for 5 scales: 0.68, 0.49, 0.55, 0.55, and 0.49. Validity: 0.17 and 0.43. Let us summarize what we have learned. Psychological services play a key role in selection in organizations as they provide objective measurement of temperament, interests, specific skills, and cognitive abilities. They help in tapping the talent pool, and if managed appropriately and encouraged to reach their full potential, the organization can create and sustain competitive advantage. Focused use of psychological assessment enables organizations to objectively measure attributes relevant to successful performance, measure potential, as opposed to simply what the person has already achieved, and compare individuals across standard dimensions as identified by the organization. Myers-Briggs Type Indicators is a personality inventory that is based on Carl Jung's theory of psychological type. The test consists of 93 items and measures 4 different bipolar continuums like extroversion introversion, sensing intuition, thinking feeling, and judging perceiving. The EQ test measures the 3 psychological dimensions of emotional sensitivity, emotional maturity, and emotional competency and consists of 22 situational items. Psychological assessment can reliably discriminate between high and low performers, measure the job fit to ensure knowledge and skill, match job requirements, and measure the fit with an organization to ensure values, goals, and personality match its culture.